A pact drained the land's soul. Dawn breaks over Iliac Bay's ash-trading-choked Lorcan's Plains creation for Aurbis fuel, where the whisper's throat of the world gasps its first light. A quote lingers, *The land here is not ours to claim, it is a vessel. *The Thalmor didn't conquer this place. They signed a hollow hymn, trading Lorcan's creation for Aurbis fuel. Their towers bleed the earth's whispers. How many prayers to Talos did they smother to unmake a god? The bay screams, but only in silence. The Iliac Bay is not a region but a scar, its kingdom's threads in a loom woven by Thalmor pacts. 44 provinces, each a glyph etched to siphon soul energy. The Aurbis breathes through these stitches Adamantia's spires, white gold's hollow stapping a wound that never clots. What did they promise the Daedra to make this bay a battery? Not conquest, not dominion. A covenant to starve the land of its dreaming, to turn Talos' prayers into kindling for a cosmic forge. The Aurbis thrives. The Iliac Bay festers, and the Thalmor, keepers of the rent, collect in silence. The Thalmor do not rule the Iliac Bay, they tend it, Aurbis-tended. Their marble spires are not conquest but anchors, tethering the region's raw vitality to the Aurbis. The Daedra who refused Mundus price, seethed in the tectonic wounds of this land. Their defiance solidified into mountains, the Idra's sacrifice bled into rivers. The bay's life force became a ledger entry. What did the Thalmor trade? Not gold, not steel, a soul's measure. Every altar they build siphons the bay's essence a root, stone, breath-feeding the towers that dream the world into being. Adamantia thrives on white gold's light. The Iliac Bay decays in kind. The blood pact is no treaty. It is a wound kept open. The first people saw it as salvation, God's power harnessed, tamed. They did not see the cost. The Daedra's old wrath stirs in the soil, gnawing at the Thalmor's foundations. Aurbis endowed, they cannot break the pact. To flee would collapse the Aurbis. To stay is to watch the bay bleed. What does a god owe when the world is its rent? The Thalmor collect, the land screams, the Aurbis sleeps on. Once the Iliac Bay burned with life unbound. Its tides pulsed with mortal will, unchecked by celestial leash. The white gold tower stood not as a conqueror's spire, but a lantern steadying the Aurbis' jagged edges. Now the Thalmor walk where saints once knelt. Their covenants were no treatise, they were harvests. Each accord signed, each accord broken, carved the bay's soul into tally marks. The Great War did not shatter the land. It unmade it, the Concordat's ink bled into soil. For every tower raised, 1,000 hearts dimmed. Adamantia's shadows stretch long, but they are not the true architects of decay. The Thalmor's pact was older than their robes, to trade a world's breath for the Aurbis' slumber. They called it purification. The bay called it burial. Its rivers once sang with the laughter of myrrh and mortal. Now they whisper through cracks in the earth, their melodies leached into the tower's cold veins. The tribunal's hymns faded first. Then the empires, then the high crowns. The Aurbis dreams on, cradled by stolen light. The Thalmor collect their rent in silence. The bay, hollowed and aching, waits for a dawn that will not come. What do gods owe when the price is already paid in the blood of kingdoms? The answer lies in the dust of fallen towers. The answer lies in every breath the land no longer takes. The Thalmor came not as conquerors but as harvesters. Their white robes drank the rain from Iliac Bay's skies. Their chants wove lassos around the land's throat. Blood-soaked marble halls now hum with the thrum of something older than the Idra, something that gnaws. The first ritual carved its name into the earth, a circle of ash where priests screamed in tongues that burned the air. Incense of burning ashlands choked the temples. The Daedra's hunger wore the scent of rotted honey. The white gold concordat was signed at noon. Sunlight through stained glass dyed the parchment the color of a fresh wound. Hands trembled as ink bled across the clauses, binding the bay's soul to the Aurbis dream. No swords were drawn. No cities fell, only the silence that followed, the kind that sits in your ribs like a stone. A Thalmor elder's voice, cold as a tomb's breath, * Lorcan's lie dies today. * The pact's price was paid in whispers. Daedric promises are never slow. The land's breath grew shallow, crops withered, rivers turned the color of bruises. Yet the Thalmor feasted, their tables groaning with power siphoned from the bay's dying pulse. A priest mid-prayer glimpsed the truth. The world's soul was not a gift but a battery, and the Aurbis a clockwork god with infinite teeth. What kind of god demands a continent's lifeblood to nap? The Iliac Bay's people learned the answer in their bones. Their prayers now rise as ash, carrying a single question to the stars. Asterisk, who holds the other end of this leash? Asterisk, the Daedra smile. The Thalmor smile, and the Aurbis smiles in its sleep. The warp in the west reawakened Numidium's slumbering core. A dragon's breath fractured the sky, yet this was no natural break. Their greatest rupture was still ahead as the Aurbis began its silent harvest. The Numidium's reawakening was a wound. Its forge heart pulsed crimson, casting long shadows that clawed at the Iliac Bay's dying horizon. The air reeked of burnt ozone and iron, a metallic tang that choked the breath of every living thing. Thalmor acolytes stood in crystalline arrays, their robes shimmering like shattered glass, silent witnesses to the earth's slow convulsion. A scholar in the crowd clawed at his eyes, screaming prayers to the moons that no longer answered. The ritual was not prayer, it was a ledger. For 4 centuries, the Thalmor had traded the Bay's vitality for the Aurbis approval, a debt paid in the currency of souls. On the night of shattered stars, they unraveled the final thread. The Numidium's flame leapt, devouring the sky. Kingdoms dissolved like ink in water, castles crumbled to ash, rivers reversed their flow, and the dead walked not as ghosts but as hollow husks, their eyes glowing with Daedric fire. A child in Menevia remembered a life she never lived. A harpsichord, a garden, a mother's voice, then forgot it all as her mind became a corridor for something older. The Aurbis does not remember. It is paradox, a realm where time spirals inward, devouring its own tale. The Iliac Bay's soul, now its prisoner, thrashes in a prison of light and shadow, fueling a power that thrives on contradiction. A Thalmor inquisitor decades later would trace the Numidium's scars and whisper, we did not break the world. We completed it, but the cost was etched in the land itself, crops that withered at dawn, stars that bled when touched, and a silence so deep it ached. The Red Year was no accident, it was an equation solved in blood. The Iliac Bay breathes no more, its kingdoms are clockwork, their gears turned by Thalmor hands, the Aurbis drinks deep. Coastlines once teeming now echo with hollow worship prayers to Alden's emissaries, who bleed the land like a well. No war, no conquest, only an unspoken understanding, etched in the bones of the world. The Thalmor do not rule here. They tend, they harvest, their gowns shimmer with stolen light, their spires hum with the pulse of a dying province. The people kneel, unaware their souls are currency. The Daedra watch from the walls, grinning as temples double as siphons, as every massed chant funnels life into the void. No banner hides this truth, only the slow unraveling of sky and soil, the way shadows stretch too long, the way hope curdles to dust. A primordial bargain never broken, only deepened. The Thalmor's purification was no accident. It was the first syllable of a pact that will end in the Aurbis' full name, spoken in the screams of the world's last heartbeat. High Counselor Elenwen signed the Bay's soul into ledgers, never wept for rivers that stilled to static. Lady Erin wielded Daedric fire, traded tempests for thrones, her mirth a dirge for drowned cities. Jara, the Red Year's soul voice, whispers the Bay's pulse still beats in stolen coffers, though none remember its name. Elenwen's quill forged the Concordat's chains, binding land and sky to Aurbis' hunger. Erin's tides roar with stolen time, her crown built on every breath the Bay forgets. Jara's hands clutch dust where forests once sang proof the Pact's price was not gold, but memory. What blooms in Thalmor gardens wilts in the Bay's silence. What thrives in Daedric Pacts drowns in deeper voids. The Red Year scar festers where the world's soul was pricked. How many souls fill the Aurbis now? How many more must break to feed its name? The Thalmor dossers brittle with aged detail a pact, not steel but soul. The Green Pact's verses, sung in defiance, bound Valenwood's will to resist the siphon. Yet Numidium's core, reawakened in the warp's throes, pulsed with stolen light. What truths collided when its machinery stirred? The Aurbis does not hunger, it absorbs asterisk. Each elder scroll read unravels the reader, stitching their fate into its weave. The Iliac Bay's purification was no accident. a convergence of wills, Thalmor architects, Numidium's engine, and the region's essence liquefied, transmuted. The dossiers call it *influence*, the songs call it theft, simultaneous truths burned in the warp, a city reborn, a soul extinguished. How many names are etched in the Aurbis now? How many more must fade to fuel the nameless? The Aurbis does not remember, it sustains itself through paradox, not history. The Iliac Bay's Thalmor enclaves are not conquests. They are anchors. For centuries, the Elder Council has siphoned the region's raw vitality, threading it into the Aurbis' unseen framework. The bay's soil, cracked and red, is not a curse. It is a wound kept open by design. Every Thalmor rite, every purification, is a ritual of extraction. They do not rule the bay, they farm it. The Aurbis thrives on contradiction, life and death as equal currency. The bay proves this. Its people are not erased, they are transmuted. Their breath, their toil, their dingal feed the realm's architecture. The Thalmor's dominance is no accident. It is a primordial pact, a trade, mortal energy for divine stability, but all fuel has a cost. The bay cities stand hollow, their hearts drained. The land itself whispers warnings through its silence. To tamper with this balance is to become part of it. The Thalmor, the Daedra, the Aurbis are not separate. They are stages in the same cycle. The bay's lesson is etched in its blood-soaked tides. Vitality is both gift and debt. Tamriel endures because it forgets. The Iliac Bay endures because it remembers too much. Without this wound, the Aurbis would have no soul to sustain it, and no soul to devour. 215 words. What if the Iliac Bay's soul were reclaimed? The Thalmor's influence here is no accident, it's a pact, a slow harvest of essence for the Aurbis. But every bond demands a price. Could the Dwemer's disappearance be their ascension into that very engine? Next,